A crew bus brings the pilots and flight attendants to the apron. The company's headquarters are located just next to the airport. There are some crew members who are meeting for the first time. The airline employs more than 2,000 flying personnel, so not everybody knows each other. Captain Philipp Heinbochel and Cabin Chief Manuela Meinert are in a good mood, despite getting up just after 3 a.m. At Condor, a great value is placed on a friendly atmosphere. These are the last quiet moments of a busy day. The team of 8 are driven by bus to the staff entrance. There they must go through a security check and then get another bus to their aircraft. Max has already passed through security. He's now waiting at the gate to start boarding. Outside, on the apron position, baggage loading has begun. Is everything on schedule? Yes, the conveyor belt is in place, the baggage will soon come, and the crew is not even there. 1 hour till departure time, so everything is going very well thus far. Nearly 300 pieces of luggage are transferred from the terminal to the aircraft. There's a load plan for the baggage, which is compiled from the weights. A loadmaster monitors everything so that all the weights are balanced. To keep the aircraft in equilibrium, there's a cargo space in the front just before the wing, and there's another one behind the wing. That means that the weight is distributed evenly. On this flight, 1 piece of luggage is allowed in economy class, with a maximum of 20 kilograms. Some cases are a bit heavier. By hand, the porters have to stow roughly 5 tons of luggage in the cargo compartments. When you consider that some people pack much more than is necessary, we also have relatively flat cargo compartments. I think this is a very strenuous part of the job. There are still 45 minutes to the scheduled departure. At this point, nobody flying to Heraklion is aboard. The passengers gather at the gate, and now the crew bus arrives with the 2 pilots and 6 flight attendants. Immediately, all of them except Captain Heinbochel go on board. While the co-pilot and flight attendants begin their preparations in the Boeing, Captain Heinbochel is informed by Nils Eick about the status of the aircraft. It's a brief conversation with no incidents to report. Flight attendant Nadja Lamana is working on a checklist, from washrooms to flashlights. It must be made quickly, as the passengers are already expected in 20 minutes' time. If anything is missing or defective, there wouldn't be much time to put things right. But after the previous checks by the technicians, a problem is unlikely, and Nadja actually finds nothing. I have position 2 left side, and there's a particular checklist. Now point by point is checked to make sure that everything is in order and that all the safety equipment is there so that all the passengers can go safely on board. Also, the door control near their place has to be checked. Everything is okay. Meanwhile, Captain Heinbochel is outside the aircraft. The Boeing 757 was checked thoroughly by the 2 technicians, but the walk-around by one of the pilots is also important for mental preparation. Safety is our top priority. The technicians always check everything carefully, but I also assure myself that everything is in order. After that, in the cockpit, I record it in the books, and then the passengers can come aboard. It takes about 5 minutes to perform the outside check. Most importantly, the captain checks the engines and the gear for any signs of damage and leaks. This increases the concentration for the flight. I take a look at the surface texture and that nothing has got into the aircraft. Everything should be as it should be. Is the leading edge okay? Does the lighting function? I get an impression of the overall condition of the aircraft. Meanwhile, it's 5:45. Still 30 minutes until departure. At the same time, boarding starts at gate B2. Your aircraft is on the apron position. Buses will take you to your aircraft. Since the passengers are brought to the plane by a bus and can't just run onto the aerobridge, no preferred seat rows are allotted for the bus. Hopefully all the checked-in passengers have gathered at the gate on time.
Hello.
Good morning. Have a nice flight. Thank you. In order to take the 250 passengers to the aircraft, 3 buses are needed. Meanwhile, it's a bit hectic in the cabin. Magazines, blankets and cushions must be ready on time. This is part of the on-board service. These are non-recurring, they're freshly ordered. There are some passengers who take the envelopes with them as a kind of souvenir. So that means you need enough cushions for the outward and return flights. Yes, this should always be the case. Especially for small children, it's important that we have cushions around the padding so that they don't slip through the belt. Today, Purser Manuela Meinert is responsible for the cabin crew. Her position is close to the front kitchen, the so-called galley, directly behind the cockpit. She confirms the checklist and is responsible for the compliance of the schedule. For the first 30 minutes we're under a bit of pressure. 30 minutes before departure, boarding starts and passengers are brought here automatically. Until then, catering and other prep work must be completed so that the guests get a good impression and feel welcome on board. We're now doing our prep work. We'll go to our positions as soon as we see the buses arrive so that we can welcome the guests. In the cockpit, Captain Philipp Heinbochel and co-pilot Dorothy Herman have completed their preparations so far. With his signature in the logbook, Philipp confirms the takeover of the Boeing 757. With the ramp agent, he discusses the final details.
16,5 Durchschnittsgewicht gibt dann 1171 vorne, in der 31555, 1072 für die 4.
The ramp agent informs the pilots about the load balance. This is important because it influences the flight characteristics of the jet. It is now 10 minutes to 6. The first passenger bus is on its way to the aircraft. At Germany's biggest airport, such a ride can take up to 10 minutes. In Frankfurt, there are 1,300 takeoffs and landings every day. It's the 3rd largest airport in Europe, behind London Heathrow and Paris Charles de Gaulle. There are still 20 minutes to go till takeoff when the last 2 buses arrive at the aircraft. The advantage of boarding on the apron is that the passengers can get on board through the front and rear doors. This saves time, but the stowing of hand luggage can cause nervousness. So the flight attendants try to speed up boarding and make sure that the passengers do not stop unnecessarily and block the aisle. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. For safety, please stow your heavy hand luggage under your front seat and don't keep any luggage in the aisle. Heavy and bulky hand luggage must be loaded separately. This can take valuable time. These must be brought down. Children's pushchairs that come with us on the aircraft are taken care of separately. We don't leave anything here. Today, an iPad lost by a passenger causes a bit of trouble. Can you please take care of this for me? This gentleman has forgotten his iPad at the security check and he wants to know if there's a possibility that someone can have a look for it over there.
Ja, ich werde es probieren, aber...
Yes, I'll try it. Which security check was that? There are several. The ramp agent tries to help. I think because we're so close to departure, we won't get it here in time, but of course it is reassuring for the guest to know that it's been found and will be kept in Lost and Found, so that he can pick it up when he comes back to Frankfurt. In this case, there simply isn't enough time. When you return, if you just ask in Lost and Found, I'm afraid we haven't got time to get it onto the aircraft now. The passenger must fly without his iPad. However, it has been found and will be kept for him in Lost and Found. Boarding is completed and the pilots have received a slot from air traffic control. That's a time period in which they must take off. Captain and co-pilot go through the before start, which is one of the checklists of the flight. In a few minutes, the pilots will ask the air traffic control to give them clearance to start their engines. In the Condor Traffic Control Centre, the timings of the flight are followed. The airline has 40 aircraft and they are all coordinated directly by the building at Frankfurt Airport.
Auf diesem Monitor sind halt alle unsere Flüge, die unterwegs sind, in der Luft sind.
On this monitor, all flights which are in the air are displayed. In addition, turbulent zones, thunderstorms and icing areas are shown. I can even view where volcanoes erupt, so this is very versatile.
Werden dann auch gemarkert, also ist sehr vielfältig.
On large monitors, the entire planet can be seen, with lots of information on airspace and weather.
Blau, das sind die Höhenwinde, die sogenannten Jet Streams.
The upper-level winds are blue, they're the so-called jet streams. Green zones are turbulent zones, and if you click on it, you can see when turbulence is expected and in which altitudes.
Bekommt man gezeigt, von wann bis wann wir da Turbulenzen zu erwarten haben und in welchen Flughöhen. Die roten Flächen, das sind Flächen, die uns Konvektivereignisse anzeigen. Das heißt,
the red areas show thunderstorms, again with altitudes and when they start and finish.
Flight Level sowieso bis sowieso und im Zeitraum von dann bis dann.
An amazing display, which is very helpful to the flight dispatchers. On another monitor, the status messages of the aircraft are displayed.
Wir haben jetzt eine Statusänderung bei der
We now have a status message from Oscar November, which is our flight to Heraklion. Captain Heinbockel has requested the startup. Now the status is startup given, SUG, and you can see that it will go off block in a minute. The pilots have received clearance from the air traffic control to start up the engines. Captain Heinbockel is connected with technician Nils Eich. In a few minutes the chocks are removed and then the jet is ready to taxi. Max, our passenger, has fastened his seatbelt. In the cabin, Purser Manuela Meinert has put on the video presentation containing safety information for passengers. To grab attention, the airline has come up with something special. A video with a body double of Paris Hilton and a small dog. The technicians remove the chocks. The aircraft is now off block. 2 hours ago, Nils Eich and his colleague opened the doors and started the extensive inspections. The passengers have noticed none of this. They're only thinking about their holiday. And it seems that the Boeing 757 is going to depart on time. The thumbs up signal to the captain. I told him that the aircraft is clear for taxi, that no more staircases are there, that there are no more lines tuned in, no more chocks are present, and then I went to the side and gave him the thumbs up to tell him that no vehicles are in the vicinity and he can taxi the aircraft away safely. The aircraft will now taxi to runway 18 west. Nils Eick, 34 years old and a father, has now finished his work after 8 hours of night shift. Yeah, I'm going to go home now, I'll have a nice breakfast and then I'll go to bed, so I'll be ready to come back for service this evening.